So listen, many of you know that I do a segment here called Small Caps for People Too. We don't do it very often. I'm lucky if we get 2 or 3 of these guys in a month because I get referred these either to listeners or for viewers or for just guys I've done business with in the past. And basically, there's a lot of folks that want us to look at companies. And I can tell you, it's not often when you can find a small cap company that actually has a good management team, a market size, and then a proprietary advantage that makes them bigger, better, faster, stronger. One such company is OriginOil. And look who's in studio. Riggs Eckelberry, the CEO, president of OriginOil, driving all the way down from the Great White North in Los Angeles, California. Good to see you, man. Good to have you in studio.
Hi, Sully.
So let me ask you something. When we go on the site, and you guys pull up the site for our TV audience, for our radio audience, it's originoil.com. We see the word algae, we see the word oil and gas. Those are 3 words I don't see in one sentence very often. Talk to us about that. What do you guys do?
Well, we have a saying, it's the water, stupid.
It's the water, stupid. I've heard that before. It's the water, stupid. Okay.
Basically, water, this is the century of remediation. We're cleaning up water everywhere.
Yeah.
We've messed it up. Now we get to make money cleaning it up.
Oh, nice.
All right. So OriginOil has technology for extracting both the good stuff and the bad stuff out of the water. Good stuff, algae, for example, which becomes a fuel, chemicals, etc., or bad stuff such as ammonia in fish farms. And especially, most exciting is this frack water, which is a real problem. And of course, it's expanding everywhere. I'm going to say it here, sooner or later it will happen here in California.
All right, let's talk about this. So for our audience who doesn't understand the fracking side of things, and for our military audience as well, fracking is a bad word in this country. Tell us why. Tell us how that process works.
Okay, hydraulic fracturing has been with us for 100 years. And it's basically injecting 2 million gallons of water all at once into a well to crack this shale, the tight shale down below, and release the oil or gas.
We're basically blasting it. We're doing a big water blast to get the stuff out.
Exactly, just like kids.
Under pressure.
Yeah.
Under pressure. Now,
The byproduct, though, is dirty water.
well, not only that, a couple things. First of all, the hydraulic fracturing really didn't take off until a man named Mitchell invented this horizontal drilling technique,
Right.
and that's why we have this boom. Now it's gone from something nobody noticed to a big problem. Why? Chemicals are being injected down with this fluid to help crack it further. Okay. So that's causing create space, etc.
So we're enriching the water with bad stuff. That's
various stuff. Some good, it's like sand. Some bad, we don't know.
Okay.
There's not a lot of disclosure out there. When the water, 15 to 30% of the water comes back up, it then has to be trucked off the site all over again, put in a disposal well.
Hazardous waste type stuff?
It goes into disposal wells and it's all good, but you got trucking expense. And in some places, like California, they're not going to allow these disposal wells to exist. So you're going to have to clean up the water. And when you do, you reuse it.
So they take it to you then, do they?
No. Right at the well, portable 40-foot container, lodged right there. The water comes up. In real time, it's treated and goes back down the pipe.
Huh.
So
you just recycle essentially on the spot.
So you, and by the way, OriginOil is the name of the company. OOIL is their stock symbol, and originoil.com. So basically, it is a gas cleanup system. It's an oil and gas cleanup system.
Exactly. First stage. So we get 98% of the hydrocarbons out, 99% of the suspended solids, and then the polishing takes care of it later.
I want you to look at something. I want you to go to gasbuddy.com. Gasbuddy.com is a website that gives you a temperature map of the United States based upon what you're paying for gas. Riggs just brought up something very important. He says pretty soon California's going to have this. Let me tell you what happens. If you look at a gas price map for across the United States, and red's the most expensive, green is the cheapest. In fact, there it is for our TV audience, for our radio audience. You can just go to gasbuddy.com. So the average price per gallon in the state of California is $3.92. The cheapest gas in the country is right in the middle of the U.S. in Arkansas or Texas, and maybe possibly up there in Wyoming, maybe South Dakota. All the light green spaces in there, are trading at between $3.10 and $3.30. The reason California is bleeding red is because of environmental issues and taxes, right? And this is what you're saying is when, unfortunately, it's going to come to California. That means, unfortunately, California is going to require more regulation on this. Now, at the end of the day, you're solving a problem for the oil and gas business. You're cleaning up water. You're the friend of the environmental guy. At the end of the day, isn't this going to lower gas prices in the state of California along everywhere else, or are things just going to stay the same?
Look, we're not taking positions about fracking versus not fracking.
I am. Whoa. You don't have to. I'm doing it for you.
And not only that, we on the algae side, we're the green wave. It's the whole future, et cetera.
Sure.
But that's in development. It's going to take a while.
Okay.
We think that gas and oil development is going to continue to boom in this country. And absolutely, there's got to be cleanup. There's got to be responsibility. And so Already we're seeing a boom. OriginOil is moving into the Bakken, for example, with heavy investments in the cleanup, because that's being seen as the next big opportunity.
Well, let's talk about that, because the Bakken in western North Dakota, of course, and we've covered that quite a bit here on the program. The Bakken is North Dakota now the #2 oil-producing state, surpassed Alaska just last year, and at one point it was half a million gallons or barrels per day coming out of there. It's only getting bigger. The name of the process is clean-frac. What I want to talk about quickly is, how did it start? What's the background? How did this thing come about?
It's really strange, because OriginOil started out as a pure, we're going to solve the problems of how to make algae industrially. It grows in your pool, it grows in your backyard, but that's not industrial. And so we worked out a technology for doing that, and especially getting all that algae out of the water. Got 1,000 to 1 water to algae, big problem. It's kind of like taking Kool-Aid back out of the water.
Sure.
Big challenge.
Yep.
Or coffee, once it's been made.
In your carpet.
Coffee in your carpet, very good.
I got a 2-year-old.
Thank you. Troy, I sympathize. Anyway, so...
But algae's not just fish food. Let's face it. Algae's not just a transport device for nitrogen and such for fish. Algae's a good thing with respect to environmental concerns. Tell us why.
Well, for every pound of algae you make, you absorb 2 pounds of CO2.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
in fact, only about 2 or 3% of the world's biomass is algae, yet it absorbs 50% of the world's CO2. It's huge.
So in other words, it's sucking up our air pollution the more we can produce, and the more we can produce. And boy, can you imagine using algae for energy? Then it's like eating celery. It's negative calories and you lose weight.
But it tastes better.
It tastes, well, yeah, it does. If you ever go to a sushi restaurant. Riggs Eckelberry is our guest today. I'm going to tell you what, we're going to take him over the break here. I want to talk to him about what's next and a little bit about the management team. The name of the company is OriginOil. OriginOil.com is the website, and OOIL. OOIL is the stock symbol. Part of our small caps are people too. We're going to be following the story here for a couple of months, and I think I want to get the camera crew out there to go check and see how it works.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, yeah.
No, I mean, it would be really
taste
interesting to find out what it looks like out there.
We'll have you taste it.
Taste it. Fantastic. Live from the Jump Studios in sunny San Diego, California, on the CBS Radio Network, Biz TV, Armed Forces Radio, Business Talk Radio, and TiVo, Ustream, and Time Warner Cable. Big Biz show's on the air. Good to have you along. Riggs Eckelberry is the CEO and president of OriginOil. I want you to go to OOIL as a stock symbol, and then check out the website, OriginOil.com. Basically, they're in the business of cleaning up fracking oil rigs, and the good news is that it is on site. One of your questions that you asked, Troy, was, "Are we trucking this water out somewhere?" You're kind of a turnkey solution for the on-site driller. How many of these things do you guys anticipate having in play over the next 10 years? Did you have one of these in every single oil well that does this type of?
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got perhaps one. You got these oil wells in sort of a radius formation, so you can have one in the middle of that.
Okay, like a hub and spoke type format. Yeah.
But imagine a 40-foot container.
Yeah.
And everything in it is self-contained. That'll process about 2-3 barrels a minute. You can go bigger. You can go about 10,000 barrels a day, no problem. It's fully scalable because it's not a batch process. There's no settling time. It's real time.
And for our TV audience, we're showing the video that's on the website, originoil.com. And if you're listening to us on the radio across the country, I want you to go to the website and check out the video, because it kind of shows kind of a rudimentary video on how it works. It's very interesting. The issue here, though, is now the business model. You're not selling 40-foot containers, are you?
Well, exactly. On the break, I was telling you, Sully, about the Ray Dolby model. In 1963, he starts out in London.
Yeah, the Dolby sound model.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which basically tells you that Riggs Eckelberry is a hippie and doesn't want you to know about it. So at the end of the day, we just busted you.
It just means I'm old. Okay? But
Dolby noise reduction.
Exactly. And so he could have built the Dolby receiver and made money personally,
right?
But it wouldn't have the market share, and Dolby noise reduction would be a tiny piece of the market. Instead, he licensed it widely. He became an industry standard, and that's our model. So we're competing, for example, with Halliburton. Now, we have a lower price than Halliburton, of course, because you're
nimble.
Exactly. Right. We're lower price. But more importantly, people don't have to, these oil operators are small, most of them independent, and they can't drink the Kool-Aid. They can't have a bunch of guys in red jumpsuits on their site.
Right.
And so we're the independent agnostic alternative. We license to a wide variety of service companies, original equipment manufacturers, so that it gets out there.
So, but like anything else, the fact that you are getting a different segment of the market, that's actually going to be a bigger segment of the market, because some of these Halliburtons, though, they're too big to service those type of people, and I think there's probably more of the size that you're going for in raw dollar amount. In fact, if you look at the market research, small to middle size oil exploration companies outweigh the big oil exploration companies like 4 to 1. So if you capture a piece of that action, that's where we're at. Talk to us about the expansion. You mentioned the Bakken. We've talked about the San Joaquin Valley here on the show as well before. There's pockets of oil drilling here in this country that a lot of people don't know about. Where are you focusing right now? Where do you guys think you're headed?
Well, we just had our first field trials a couple months ago right here in Lost Hills in the Bakersfield area, and it was an amazing story because this is a exploration crew that had decanted, that is settled their produced water for 2 weeks, and then they ship it off-site as trash. We pulled gobs of tarry hydrocarbons out of that, and they said, "Oh my God, that's money down the drain."
Right.
And they realized.
So this is almost like mining tailings in the mining business. When you're mining, the crap that goes behind the mine. There's millions of dollars in gold dust there that nobody can get to. This is kind of the same sort of idea, but in oil drilling. So can they somehow extract that out and reuse that and refine that? Is there a process for that now?
Absolutely. And anytime I want to sell something, I'd rather sell a greed side, like recover more profits, versus comply with the law, which they'll do as slowly as possible. Anyone will.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry.
For sure. Yeah.
So the fact that they're recovering more product is beneficial to them. They'll get a couple of % more, and that's a big deal. And furthermore, the trucking costs in West Texas, it's costing them as much as $6 per barrel of oil for the trucking alone.
Wow.
If we can reduce that, it's huge.
And that's got to be your key selling proposition when you guys. And I guess the question is, who's the customer? When you have, because that's a key selling proposition. The fact of the matter is that you're efficient and that you're doing something that no one else can do is obviously I think expected these days. But the fact that you're saving them money in this economy probably gets you to the front of the line. Who's the end result as far as customers go for you?
Sure. So for us, we're working with, for example, the equipment manufacturers that are putting this stuff together. The operators are not very capitalized. They're operating on very thin margins. So they need deals. They need gallonage deals, pay you per this and that and the other thing.
Sure.
Typically, service companies will do that. So what you got is the equipment manufacturer working with a service company or a large investor putting in infrastructure, and they do the deals with these operators so that's an easy by-the-byte type system.
Right.
That structure's in place. We're just feeding right into it.
So at the end of the day here, I can't believe that we actually brought on a company that does a process we've never even heard of before. Name of the company, OriginOil. OOIL is the stock symbol, and of course, Riggs Eckelberry, the president and CEO. I want you to go to originoil.com. We come back with us next week and the week after and everything else, and tell us what the next thing you're going to do to change the world. Because I can see this, the way your technology goes, I can see you guys jumping into some other industries too down the road.
Aquaculture's next.
Right. I was just going to say, if you're driving by Carlsbad back on the way to Los Angeles, just look to your left side across the freeway. Riggs, thanks so much for coming in here.